Hi everybody, it's Kim from Olive City Homestead. Welcome. It is a week before Christmas, and I know that some of us are still thinking about what we are going to give some of our closest friends and family. Well, today I have a few ideas for you, gifts from your garden. And if they're from your garden, they're from your heart. And these are all gifts that are easy, they're inexpensive, they're practical or beautiful or both, and whoever you give them to will love them. Now, first up from the garden is seeds. I'm not a huge seed saver yet. It is a goal of mine to save tons of seeds every season, but I'm still learning and I'm still getting a handle on it because there's so many. But there are standbys, ones that work. They're easy to collect, they're easy to plant, they're easy to grow. And yet people who don't garden regularly or who just kind of envy perhaps a certain crop you grow would love to get their hands on some seeds from you. And here I have Moon and Stars watermelon seeds. These are a fantastic watermelon that have a very distinct appearance, dark green with lots of little yellow dots all over. I was going to say stars because that's what they're referred to as. And then one dot, one circle that is bigger than the rest, like the size of a nickel, say, and that's the moon. These are also called Cherokee melon, and they are delicious as well as being beautiful. The melons that look like cantaloupe, those are actually Emerald Gem melons, and they're a personal size melon, so about half to 2/3 of a size of a large cantaloupe. It's just the right size if you love melon to sit down and have a full breakfast with melon and maybe some blueberries on the side. Or you can share with them an old standby perennial vegetable that you grow, two that I like to grow and that I don't see a lot of other people growing, and I'm not quite sure why, because they're super easy, they take no care almost at all, and yet they are prolific and beautiful. Both of these vegetables, most people don't know this, but they have gorgeous blossoms. Yeah, they are okra. So they have these grayish green balls as seeds. And oh my goodness, they have beautiful blossoms. You know, they have different shades of pink and yellow, and they just look like they belong in the most expensive bouquet. But instead they grow into delicious okra. And okra is delicious if you cook it right. I know it has a tendency or a stereotype of being slimy, and that is certainly how they can be if not cooked right. So if you grow them, I encourage you to find someone who knows how to cook them. I'll leave a link in the description below to another YouTube channel, which is the Big Blue House Homestead, because she has a great recipe, or I should say technique, on how to get that sliminess out of the okra, because if you do, then they're really good. All right then, what else? How about some artichoke? Now, artichoke are one of my favorite vegetables to grow because they put on quite the display early in the spring around here. And they are planted with these little seeds that look, in my opinion, kind of like small sunflower kernels, but instead they grow huge artichoke plants. Now these are globe artichokes, which get huge, and then they are perennial and will send up new pups alongside the main plant, and you can separate the little pup plant, a baby plant, and plant it somewhere else, and soon you could have artichokes everywhere. Now, if you've never seen artichokes growing, or maybe perhaps you just don't know you've seen artichokes growing and blooming, in other words, they bloom if you don't pick the artichoke. That big artichoke that if you've never grown it, if you've bought it in the store, taken it home to eat, if it were left on the plant, it opens up into a vibrant purple blossom, unlike anything I'd ever seen before. In fact, the first time I grew artichoke was because I had seen it growing out as a landscape plant in a public place. And when I looked it up and saw what it was, I thought, that's crazy. I can grow those and I can eat some and enjoy the flowers on others. So that's what I do. Those are not only perennial, but they're one of the easiest perennial there is to grow in a temperate climate. I'm not sure if you can grow them in a colder climate, but I'm a big fan of greenhouses when it comes to that, and I bet you could. And finally, in the seeds department, maybe you grew something this year that you've never grown before and you loved it. If that's the case, you definitely want to pass that on as a gift, because there's nothing so great as passing on something that you're passionate about. So one of my two new favorite vegetables this year was delicata squash. Now, I've grown all kinds of squash before, but delicata I had never grown, and oh my goodness, I'm in love with the flavor. Sort of like a butternut, which I also love, but different and really easy and really prolific. So I save seeds, of course, and I've got more than this, but these I'm going to give away, because if you find something you love to grow and love to eat, why wouldn't you want to share it as a gift for someone else? So moving on from seeds, what's next from the garden that would make a great gift? How about seedlings? In other words, you took the seeds and you planted them and they started to grow into a new plant. Or perhaps it's a seedling that volunteers somewhere in your garden or on your property. And I've got two examples of that right here. So this is a lavender seedling. It's doing quite well, but it just came up this year next to the mother lavender plant, which is pretty big at this point. It's about 4 or 5 years old now, and every year it sends up hundreds of volunteers. And this year I harvested them and planted them, and I'm going to give this as the gift. I mean, lavender, everyone knows how beautiful it is and how wonderful it smells, and there are dozens and dozens of uses for the plant. So this would make a great gift. Another seedling I took as a cutting. I have several purple kale plants, and I took a lot of cuttings this year because they were getting so big and the wind was taking some of the parts that were so large to the side and blowing them over. So I cut them off and I started a bunch of new plants. And this is one right here. Purple kale is my second new favorite vegetable this year after delicata squash. And I'm telling you, if I suddenly had to move somewhere where I can only grow like 2 or 3 plants, this would be one of them. It grows year round. It gets as big as you want it to get. It can be 8 to 10 feet tall. It's a tree kale, and it is sweet and delicious. And it's even better in the winter than it is in the summer, but it's still good in the summer too. So you have greens year round in zones 7B, 8A, and up. And if you're colder than that, again, how about a houseplant? How about the greenhouse? You can find a place to try to grow it. What else besides seedlings? Well, how about a whole plant? This is a blueberry bush. So I have a long row of blueberry bushes. I think I have a dozen plants, and this is actually well, I guess you could call it a cutting. A small piece broke off of one of my main plants last year. And I thought, well, I'm not just going to throw it away. I'll stick it in the ground and see if it grows. And sure enough, it did grow. And just about 2 weeks ago, this was covered in gorgeous red leaves because blueberries have wonderful fall foliage. But now it only has a few leaves left on it. That's okay. It's still really healthy. I can see buds all over it that are going to blossom in the early spring. Blueberries are a wonderful plant that you can grow in just about any place you want. It grows just as well on a balcony or in your home as it does outside. In fact, if you're in a cooler climate, there are varieties that grow very well there too. And yeah, I would definitely be growing blueberries if I had to move somewhere smaller than where I am now, or even colder where I am now, because you can get any number of kinds. And again, very easy to propagate. If I can grow this from a little piece that broke off, imagine if I was trying to grow them from cuttings. So this will make a wonderful present for one of my children. I can say that because I have so many kids, even if they're watching, they wouldn't know who I'm talking about. And that brings us to flowers, because you can't leave them out. This is one of my favorite flowers. It's a gazania. Right now it's closed, but just imagine this bright orange. It opens wide every day when the sun comes out, and gazanias come in a huge spectrum of colors, from the lightest cream and pink colors to vibrant orange and purples and everything in between. And they spread by themselves. I'm constantly digging up little gazania plants like this one was, just a little tiny one, and putting it in a pot or putting it in another place in the garden. And they just keep spreading and spreading and spreading. And they are very, very hardy and yet so beautiful, blooming all winter long here in Zone 9B. Maybe even less than that, kind of depends on your microclimate. And yeah, why not gift some flowers you have that tend to self-seed and you have an abundance of them? Dig them up and put them in a pot and share the love. Share your favorite flowers with your friends and family as gifts this Christmas. Well, that's all for plants. You can also share from your garden sort of in an indirect way as the things from your garden move through your kitchen and come out as products on the other end. Recently, I did a video after I harvested almost 200 lemons in one day from my Meyer lemon tree. And that actually was two videos, part one and part two, on what in the world do I do with all these lemons? And I found lots of things to do. And my kids and I have been really enjoying all kinds of baked goods. And certainly we can give baked goods from produce that we grow, whether that be lemons or apples or nuts, walnuts, and pecans. I've got pecan trees growing and I can't wait a few more years and I'm going to have some nuts from them. We can give those baked goods. Or maybe you've seen the examples on Pinterest or Instagram of putting in a mason jar layered ingredients, flour and sugar and such, and then maybe nuts and chocolate chips and these kinds of things. But from the garden, I thought, what can I give that I have made from my fruits and vegetables that could be made into something by the receiver of the gift? And, you know, lavender, the plant, people can make something with that, certainly, but I'm talking more about baking. And so the videos I did from the lemons are a good example of that. I'll show you here a couple of things that I made from those lemons. First up, direct out of the freezer, is some lemon juice. I froze up dozens of these 1-cup jars of lemon juice, and they are ready to put into any number of recipes, especially my favorite lemon bar recipe. Then I've got lemon zest that I used the peels from the lemons to make in my dehydrator, and I did some in the oven directly. It works both ways, so you don't need a dehydrator. And I used to think, well, what would I use lemon zest in, or orange zest? I don't know. I mean, I usually when that's called for in a recipe, I have to admit in the past I would ignore it. Not anymore. What this is great for is making lemon curd. And if you've never made lemon curd before, I really challenge you to go do it. Go back to my past video. I'll put a link to it up above because the recipe is really easy and simple and quick, and it takes so few ingredients. You do need some lemon zest. So I'm going to give some of that as a gift. If you want to make it yourself, though, just go grab a few lemons from the farmer's market or even an organic food store. That's the thing about giving people gifts from your garden, like lemon zest and lemon juice and lemon extract that I made here with lemon peels and vodka. The thing about it is that these lemons I know are organic and very fresh, taken off the tree and immediately processed into these products. So when I give these, this is a big tip for you because it makes the gift really personal and special, is write out the recipe that you want to share that they can make with these ingredients, and write it out in your own handwriting. Okay, if your handwriting's atrocious, I give you permission to type it up in a pretty font. But if you can write somewhat decently, put it in your own handwriting. You can make it special on some kind of paper that has a, special border around it, or just put it on plain old computer paper. But I'll tell you what, that can be really special keepsake in the future. I know I have a few recipes that my mom wrote out for me, probably in haste. It's not that she gave them to me as a gift and they were, specially made or anything, but she wrote them out for me at one point or another to share a recipe with me, usually a family traditional recipe. And I still have those today. My mom passed on 10 years ago. And when I make those recipes, like her cornbread, and I see her handwriting as I'm making it, I feel a real strong connection to her, which is really special during the holidays. So if you include something like the lemon bar recipe or the lemon curd recipe that calls for the lemon zest and the lemon juice, and it's in your handwriting, I mean, I'm not trying to be morbid here, but one day when you're finally gone, It's still a connection between you and your loved ones. Or at this time when we are all kind of separated. I know not all my children are able to travel here this year. Several are not. And we'll be having our holiday via Zoom. And I do try to share things like recipes. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to start sharing things from my garden to go along with those recipes. And you can too. So I hope maybe something I shared today sparked an idea for you of something you might give from your garden to one of your friends or family. And again, if you don't yet have produce coming in from your garden or fruit orchard, you can always go get fruit from the store. Fruit from the organic section of the store, fruit from a friend's overabundance. I know I'm happy to share a lot of my produce. If anybody wants olives, please come my way, by the way. Fruit from farmers markets. And you can take those home and you can make up these things. And it's almost as special as if you'd grown it yourself. You've still done all the work and processed it into something wholesome and beautiful for your loved ones, or grown something that they can take back, have it grow bigger and abundant and produce their own flowers and fruits and vegetables in the future. And a gift that is delicious, a gift that is beautiful, a gift that lasts, a gift from your heart, those are gifts that really mean something to people. And you can do that easily, inexpensively, quickly, simply. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and give it a like. And hey, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd love to have you along for the ride. We're going to be doing a December garden tour in a few days. And boy, I've got some stuff going on out there. It kind of surprises me. So join me, just hit that subscribe button and the notification bell and you'll know whenever I upload a new video, which is usually twice a week. I hope you're all having a wonderful holiday season. Remember, take it easy on yourself. I know that you're probably doing a lot of work right now. Remember, you can't do everything and that's okay. Remember to relax and enjoy yourself as well as taking care of others and making them happy. You deserve to be happy too. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and I'll see you again next time.